A show based on the facts, honesty, the man, the myth, the legend, Constitutionalist Joseph M. Leonard.
Welcome to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Politics Podcast. If you're viewing behind the scenes, I have no idea why I look fuzzy. Let me toggle my video. There we go. All right. Yeah, today is the day for computer problems, apparently. So, at any rate, joining me today is Deborah Higgins. First thing I want to ask is I've also invited a Carolyn Dowd Higgins on. Any relation that you know of?
No, but it could be.
But today is Deborah Higgins, and I reached out to her because in the summary on my notes here, it says, how to cure anxiety, biblical truths, and mystical practices. So I'm game for that discussion.
Right. I think there's metaphysical practices, actually, and it's metaphysical practices to overcome anxiety, panic, social anxiety, and agoraphobia.
Okay, before we really... why did it say I was muted there for a second? Okay, at any rate, if I was muted, I'm back. I have no idea what's going on with Zoom today. Okay, good to know. Before we get into the details of that, let's do the usual nitty-gritty stuff of where were you born, where were you raised, where are you now, those sorts of things.
Okay, I'd love to talk about that. I was born in Baltimore in the hospital there, but my parents brought me up in Towson, which is a northern suburb of Baltimore. And I just went to public school, there. Now, I got agoraphobia when I was young. And agoraphobia, for people who don't know what that is, and I don't know, do you know what that is?
No. I've heard the term, but I don't remember.
Well, in Webster's dictionary, they say agoraphobia is fear of the marketplace. It's not really fear of the marketplace. It's fear of panic. It's fear of the panic attacks that you might have if you go someplace and you have a panic attack. You're afraid to go that place again. So you leave that place out of your places that you can go. Then you go another place and you have another panic attack. And the panic attack is so frightening that you don't want to go there again. So your world begins to get smaller and smaller and smaller until you finally get it so that you can't go out at all. And that's what happened to me.
You become a shut-in then.
Shut-in, yeah. And that's what happened to me when I was in 9th grade. Unfortunately, my mother had some alcohol problems, and I was always afraid of what was going to happen when I came home. So I began to get agoraphobic, and I stayed in school. I stayed in my house for a whole year and didn't go to school. But it was actually good in a way because I didn't have to go through the regular schooling that my other, classmates did. I read the Bible and I read as many books as I could, and I watched every old movie there was.
So you kind of had an unofficial homeschooling that year.
I had an unofficial homeschooling, exactly right. And it was a good homeschooling. Finally, it took a while for the treatment. I had a psychiatrist that would come to my house, and he would go in my father's office, and we would sit there. and he would do a progressive relaxation exercise so that I became very relaxed and to the point where I was hypnotized. And
almost like a meditation type
yeah,
thing.
it was like a meditation thing.
Because I've recently had somebody on talking about the tenets of Buddhism. You don't have to accept Buddhism as a faith, but as a philosophy, it's a good thing. Meditation is a good thing. But most people associate it with the Om
I know,
thing.
associate it with all sorts of strange mystical things, but it's not. It's one of God's tools that he gave us to make ourselves relax. And he took me on these imaginary journeys where I would get in the school bus in my imagination and I would sit in there and he'd take me through through the streets, and we'd finally get to the classroom, and then he'd have me sit in the classroom. Now this is all in my mind as I'm doing his visualization. And eventually he did that so often that when my grandfather passed away, I had to go to his funeral. And it was the first place that I went because I really wanted to go. It was the first place that I went when I got out of my agoraphobia. So fortunately, I got out of it. I was able to go to school and things got better from then on.
It makes perfect sense that those mental exercises would indeed, right? I forget the saying, right? Imagine it, do it. Right. Yeah. You're working through it. If you can imagine it, you can do it. And you're prepping yourself to be able to do it so that obviously some things unexpected may happen that you didn't imagine in the scenario, but you're at least better prepared to be out in society.
Yes, exactly right. I still had trouble going like long distances by myself. So I'm still working on that even to this day. I still have to in my book, I wrote a book called, we talked about it, and the book has exercises in it. They're meditation exercises that teach you how to breathe correctly so you don't get the panic attack.
Yeah. Go ahead for the benefit of the audience. Do you have a copy of the book to hold up, or just give the title?
They just published it. This is funny. They're sending me 20 copies, and they do it on FedEx ground. But I said, but I'm a prime member of Amazon. If I order the book, I can get it by Monday. And and they said, well, I guess so. But I did. That's what I did. I ordered the book, so I'm waiting for it now.
Depending if it's been generally published through Ingram Sparks, they could sell you if you're buying but if you publish through Kindle Prof, KDP, the Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing Services, Prime doesn't qualify for author copies.
Yeah, I have Balboa is the person who published my book, and it's, even though it's self-published, they helped me to do the cover and all of that. And
absolutely,
it was with Bilbao. They do these things like give you the 200 books, and that's a great blessing, because there are publicity agencies out there, marketing agencies, that will help me get the word out. You do a book, and then you never know who's going to read it or how to get the word out to get people to read it. So that becomes a real...
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.
One of my
Yeah.
books is How to Write a Book and Get It Published, Hints, Tips, and Techniques.
That's
Right.
great.
From story conception to actual writing development, publishing options, including self or I say assisted publishing, like
Right.
you did. And yeah, you're not done. Marketing, promotion, social media, all that. Because there's a million books on how to put your book on Amazon. You can read the help files for that.
Right.
But
Right.
it was lacking a how to write a book and get it published, hits, tips, techniques. So I did that. And so you're finding out all these things. Indeed, I cover
I'm
all
going to go
those
get your
things in
book
that.
is what I'm going to do.
It's inexpensive Kindle version, but I suggest the paper version because
I'm a paper person.
yeah, you're going to want a dog ear. You're going to
Yeah.
want to highlight. You're going to want to put Post-its in it.
Yeah.
That's a book you need in paper form. But
That's
you
great.
never did give your book title yet. What is it?
Well, okay. A Cure for Anxiety, Biblical Truths and Metaphysical Practices to Overcome Anxiety, Panic, Social Anxiety, and Agoraphobia.
Yeah. Now, I normally would wait till the end and ask, do you have a website? Do you have a website yet up for that? I go into that in the book too, obviously. Like,
They
did
have a
Balboa put
website.
one for you?
They have a website they're working on, and
Oh,
that's supposed to be coming out in a week. So they did everything. They're doing everything a little slowly, but that's okay. I can
do
wait.
we know the URL for the site? It's just not up yet, but by the time this will air, it will be.
I have the ISBN number
No, that's the ISBN number for the book.
for
Do
the
you
book.
have the URL to put in the browser to get to the site, even though it's not
Well,
there
you
yet?
can get to my site by going to Deb K. Higgins Coaching.
Okay.
.com.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes then. Okay.
That'll lead you in the right place. You'll eventually get everything. We have
Yeah.
to put the ISBN number up there too, so it'll be easier for people to instead of writing out that long.
Yeah. I also have a couple articles, tinyurl.com. I'll send you these links. tinyurl.com/write and publish supplement and
that's
write
great.
and publish supplement 2. I
Wow.
don't go into ESBNs in the book, but I do in the article. Are you getting a LCCN number? A Library of Congress control number that makes your book eligible for libraries.
Yeah, they did do that.
They're doing that for you? Okay. Yep.
That's good. And actually, libraries is a good way to go. That's also a therapist's office because I got my master's in social work when I was 62. I decided to go and finish up a master's, and I did it in mental health so that I can learn about all of this and learn about, the social anxiety and the other types of anxiety that I didn't have. The anxiety that I had has helped me a lot to write the book because it gives me I use the very things that I tell my readers to do. For example, in the biblical part of the book, I talk about how Billy Graham said that this is the age of anxiety. Instead of being relaxed about things, we're all
uptight about a lot of, yes, I agree. Well, I'm going to say again, by the time this airs, that other site will be up and all that. We're kind of just accidentally catching a state of flux here as we're recording.
That's okay. I mean, I'm very comfortable. You make your guests feel very comfortable. I don't know if people know that on the other side because
not until you just said it. Thank you so much for saying that. Obviously, I try to pride this show as indeed not being an uptight show.
No,
and I try to engage in humor a lot during the show to make people comfortable because no matter how anxiety, I suffer from it. I've got a prescription for Xanax over there. I only take as rarely needed.
But
because there was a 2-year period I was on it twice a day, all day, every day, and I know the opioid withdrawal nonsense
and especially
to go through
Xanax.
I am
Xanax
never
is
going to
the
put
part.
myself through that again, but I
Yeah.
have it for those odd days that I really, really am feeling jittery physically and need
Sometimes
it.
you have to. Even when I tell my readers that you don't usually use medication, there are times in the gap when you haven't been able to meditate and you have to go somewhere and you just don't have you have too much anxiety to do it, that it's okay to take a tranquilizer to get you through that hump, so to speak. But you can do a lot with meditation. You can do a lot with visualization, and even what manifestation is affirmations. You hear about people saying, I am a reflection of God, able to do this in whichever way God finds it right for me to do. All sorts of very good affirmations, as you can tell yourself, that will help you as you're doing the things that you need to do. The thing about a panic attack is it's really frightening. People, this is one thing I like to convey as much as possible. People will feel their heart beating really fast and they don't understand what it is. And it's really there's a little piece of your brain, and it's called the amygdala, and it sends messages to the hypothalamus, I can never say this word, hypothalamus. And anyway, it sends messages.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how the AI transcriber tries to interpret what you just said. Who knows? That'll probably come out like baby gibberish.
Right. But the hypothalamus, it sends messages to that, and it'll trigger your adrenaline and norepinephrine. And these are the two things that will start you to sweat. It'll start your heart beating really fast. It'll have your hands sweat. You'll get dizzy. You might get disoriented. One of the biggest fears people have when they have these anxiety attacks is that somebody will see them, that they'll get embarrassed. But then they worry that they're having a heart attack. And I always say, if you do have those symptoms, you should go to the hospital and you should find out whether or not you are having a heart attack, because the experience is very, very similar. But as soon as you find out that it's a panic attack, then you don't have to worry about your heart, and you can go and get my book. And you can go and get my book, and you can meditate, and you can do the things that you need to do in order to get calm.
Is the book authorship going to be under Deborah Higgins or Deb K. Higgins?
Pointed that out. Thank you. It's not. I wrote this as a memoir and as a prescriptive book, so that you can get something out of it, but also you can learn about my life. And because there are people in my life that did some rather interesting things, this is for their protection and mine. And I changed my name to Elizabeth Connolly. So my pen name is Elizabeth Connolly. And Elizabeth I got from my mother's first name. And Connolly, I was sitting one day and I was looking over at my bookshelf, and I saw Michael Connolly because I love all his books. And I decided that I was going to call myself Elizabeth Connolly. And
is there an CONNOLY or EY?
It's a CONNOLLY. So there's two L's.
Two L's. Okay.
Two N's.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. I don't script shows. We go where it goes, right? And this is exactly why. Unfortunately, this is only my third season. I've also co-hosted Savage Unfiltered, been with him 4 years. So I'm still learning. I don't always get it right either. I find
catch on quick.
Invariably at the end of any episode, I'm like, oh, why didn't I say that? Or why didn't I ask that? All right. But I certainly try.
Good job, and thank you, because I sometimes forget about the pen name. I wasn't really excited about having a pen name because I knew that I wanted to do a workbook to supplement this book with nothing but exercises and not anything about my life really. So I wanted that to be in my name, Deborah Higgins, and when that comes out, which will be another month or two, it will be under my name, and it'll be the workbook, but it'll be the same title as my book, only just workbook in front of it.
Okay.
So you'll look for Deborah Higgins for that, and Elizabeth Conley for the other book.
I hate to say you're confusing people.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. But indeed, in how to write a book and get it published, that's I say everyone likely has stories in them, and writing it, whether you publish it or not, is a whole other thing. But the exercise of writing it, as you said, is cathartic for yourself. And if you publish it, you can help others.
Right. And I've gone through, I had an alcoholic mother. I had, unfortunately, something I don't really agree with. I had an abortion, and that was very traumatic. And I also, I had a couple marriages. So I ended up with breast cancer, and they say your sins will get you. And to tell you the truth,
I'm a leukemia survivor. That's why I have the bald head, the hairdo I do. When I leukemia in 2010 and it came out, I decided, I'm going to save a ton on shampoo and conditioner and just shave it.
That's what I did. I had my hairdresser come to my house, and I said, well, take this hair and I'll make the first cut, and then you go and you shave the rest of it. So we did that. And I told her, I said, what we could do that would be more fun is if you got in your convertible and we put the top down and we just let it blow off.
the trying to make some sort of lemonade out of the lemons.
Yeah, you got to make light. You don't laugh. I think laughter and humor is one of the most important things. I don't know if you know Frankl, the writer that wrote How to Survive, or it's I don't know his exact title, but it's about survival. And he said that when he was in the camp, when they were loading the Jewish people onto the trains, that he looked for somebody that was laughing because he wanted to get near that person, because he knew that if he was with somebody that was still laughing about things, that he would have a better chance of surviving. And I thought that was just so insightful. And
no matter how serious things get, for our own sanity, finding humor in anything, any way you can, to help distract from the seriousness going on around, it is good, yes, for our own mental well-being.
Yes, it is. Yeah, definitely. I wish I could remember the name of that book because it's so famous. But it's a part of resiliency. And I think I got through a lot of the things that I went through in my childhood through that resiliency, that ability to just pop up and back out of tragic circumstances. I still have metastatic breast cancer, and that's supposedly incurable, but I find it curable because I've decided that it's not going to get me. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I'm cured.
Okay. Thank you, Deborah Higgins. Deborah Higgins, aka Elizabeth Conley, for coming on the show today. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm very, very appreciative of you having me here, and it's been fun. I didn't think it was going to be fun.
Yeah, like
anxiety producing.
Oh, yeah. I don't want that because I deal with anxiety also. So, yeah, I don't want nothing to do with that. I try to make it easy. Exactly. And like with any guest, could go for 3 hours. But then when it's too long, I call it today's Twitter attention span. Nobody watches unless it's short.
Right.
So thanks again. Take care. God bless.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for having tuned in for Constitutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM is your conservative flamethrower. Weekdays, Steve Gruber starts things off at 6 a.m. Gruber gives his perspective on the issues of the day. At 9 a.m., Glenn Beck blazes the airwaves with his nationally syndicated program. From noon to 3, it's Dennis Prager. At 3 o'clock, it's Wham's own Thayrone X. On the Edge, Thayrone tells it exactly as he sees it. At 6, it's The Dana Show, your conservative alternative. At 8, don't miss Joe Pags. Weekends are filled with conservative talk as well. Fingers Malloy, Thomas LeDuc, The Abolitionists Roundtable, A Moment of Clarity with Pastor Rick, Your American Heritage with Ed Bondarenka, Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, and Dick Kupke's Trigger Talk. You can even get links to Wham podcasts from Dave, Dick, and of course Thayrone, all from their pages on our website, whamradio.com. Keep it locked on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM in southeastern Michigan, and whamradio.com anywhere in the world.